this year. What you're seeing is very rare. Our camera inside the Hastings headquarters of one of the most feared gangs in New Zealand
Down with the police.
on the day of a police raid.
Might have been a wee bit more heavy-handedness had you guys not been here.
Groundhog Day for these mobsters. They've all been here before.
Turn around and walk in here now.
Police shakedowns are just part of the game.
Just another day in the life of Mongrel mob culture.
Claude Kahika is the Hastings mob president. The police bust is a big surprise to us, but not to him.
Hey, bring my fucking beer back.
It's a cat and mouse situation. We play games with each other.
We're here because we were invited. Claude Kahika says he's leading his gang in a radically new direction. He's taken a very public stand against what the police say is the mob's core business, manufacturing and distributing methamphetamine, or P.
It will kill the community. Yeah, it'll kill anything that in any form or shape.
In his 30 years with the mob, Claude's seen the damage done by hard drugs, though nothing like this. But stopping it, that means convincing his own mobsters and the police it's a high-stakes game.
Who's the cat? Who's the mouse?
The shoe changes of it. You know, we can be the mouse one day and the cat the next.
Today's the mob's day to play mouse.
Hey, we're not Sundays.
And the police, they're the cats.
Not Sunday though, kid.
In this, the most serious game in town.
The Hastings chapter of the Mongrel mob are involved in serious crime within Hawke's Bay, and those serious crimes range from aggravated robbery, serious assaults, down to the production and selling of methamphetamine.
Sam Aparahama, he's the head of the Hastings.avi.
We'll just get well.
We'll just let us do our job first.
That's him in charge of the raid.
We believe that the Mongrel mob are working in with other gangs to a certain extent, and of course they've continued to offend in the way of manufacturing or selling methamphetamine.
No, we're not.
Not at all?
Not from this chapter. There might be individuals who will go to that extent, but the police would like to think that because we are who we are. We get extra special treatment, you know, and so we get spoiled by them.
We're going to take the rubbish, or should we drop it off at the Vallis?
But if Claude means what he says about kicking P, he's taking on his own kind and facing huge losses in drug profits.
How can you win when it makes so much money?
Take those greedy leaders out and replace them with people who are for the people and not for themselves.
There are a small but significant number of gang leaders who are taking a stand.
It's a big call, isn't it? Yeah.
Dennis O'Reilly, gang community advocate and Black Power member. He set aside gang rivalry to work with Claude over P. They're nervous talking publicly like this, and they need to be.
There's got to be enormous resistance from within.
Yes, there is enormous resistance within, and it is not popular. It is much more popular to go along with the flow, to have the good times, to be the G gangster.
Methamphetamine, P, is the good times. It's fast becoming the hottest money spinner of them all for the gangs, traditionally rival gangs, who the police say are now working together to manufacture and distribute. But they're caught between this rock and a very hard place.
Well, not only is it an income stream that is hard to turn your back on, but it's not a sustainable income stream. You know, you're unlikely to be around 2 or 3 years later.
By that, he means you're either locked up or worse. We've all seen the news stories when P's involved.
Dixon, fueled by P, intended David Williams had taken the methamphetamine known as P only hours before he smashed Coral's skull with a branch.
Scary, unpredictable, uncontrollable violence. P stands for profit, no question, but it's coming at an awful cost to gang families as much as anyone else.
There is no redeeming quality in methamphetamine, in my view. Nothing to recommend it.
It was this anti-drug hooey in Hastings, July last year, that prompted the Hastings mob into having second thoughts about P. They were publicly castigated for bringing it into the local community.
We're accusing the Mongrel mob of making and distributing P. And so they said, come on, let's have a hui. And here they are, prepared to front up to that accusation.
Your rules might be
more than 35 patched gang members impassively watching on.
This stuff will wipe you out.
While Peter Sharples raged, 17-year-old Javelin Naranoa brought it all home.
It hurts.
Both her gang parents, she said, were in jail for P. She was now bringing up her younger brother and sister alone.
It's not you that miss out, it's the kids.
Claude Kahika, himself reportedly a former P user, was moved to very publicly signal a willingness to change.
But that's the real picture of the drug that's in our society today. You couldn't get it any more realer than that.
But that was last year, so what had changed since then? We met up with Claude months afterwards in late February this year. We wondered what role the mob was now playing in the P trade.
I'd say that we play a very, very, very minor role. If there is a role to be played there, I tell you, very minimal role, very minimal. And that's coming direct.
What seems really hard to believe is when you say the mob is not involved in the methamphetamine business. That's not easy to understand.
I'm not denying that the mob isn't a player in the methamphetamine business. But what I will say is that I don't think that the mob is a player in the methamphetamine to the extent that is warranted towards us, and also to the extent that I think that the police believe us to be.
Ask the Hastings police and they'll tell you a quite different story.
This is Carry Place just in here.
Detective Sergeant Luke Shadbolt.
Small street, less than 3 people selling embedded dress.
We're travelling as Patch 8 months after our interview with Claude.
This house over here was one that was blown up during the P-Lab manufacturing.
A senior mob member was seriously burnt in that blast.
Most of what goes on in this area, the mob know or have some idea about what's happening.
If Claude Kahika and the Hastings mob have started mending their ways over P, it's news to Luke Shadbolt.
Within the Hawke's Bay, we know that Mongrel mob are the major seller and supplier of methamphetamine and other controlled drugs. That is where they get the majority of their money. That is their main business.
That's not the impression you get talking to Claude.
No, probably not. But if I was in his line of business, I'd downplay it as well. But in my line of business, we know that they are the major suppliers.
And that's just P. What about other gang behaviour?
Intimidation, standover tactics. What about that?
No, we've gotten away from that. I've never really been one for that.
Well, one of your members, when he was refused a ride, went back to the car owner with 2 other members, beat him up and took his car. Is that not intimidation?
I think what we got is a story that's been misread. I'm not saying that my boy didn't go around and do anything like that, he did. But what I am saying is that the story has seemed to have just gone blown up.
Whatever Claude says, the police aren't buying it, and they'll use any opportunity, no matter how small, to keep up the pressure.
Come on, man.
Gonna have a birthday party? And come grab all our beer?
Does it make you angry when you get raided like this?
Of course it does. Who wants filth coming into their house? Intruders coming into their house. That's what I call them, intruders. Aliens coming into our own body.
If it all looks pretty basic, and it is, don't let appearances deceive you, say police.
I think there's a difference between how much product they're passing and how much profit they're making. Whether it's making a lot of the gang members rich or just a few of them rich, it's hard to say. And like with any pyramid, it's the person up the top who will be getting rich. That may not be one of the gang members or chapters from here, but the money is going up the line.
Flaxmere, outside Hastings.
Oh, this is all mob area. It's one of the old pads here, but now been sold. Nice piece of property.
Nothing criminal goes down here without the gang hierarchy knowing about it or having a piece of the action.
The last 80 months in Hastings alone, we've busted probably about 6 or 7. Within the Hawke's Bay, including Napier, it's probably closer to 15 to 20.
And the police watch and wait.
You can do it, 857.
This street is a known dealing spot.
Once again, a senior member of the Hastings Mongrel mob is facing charges for the cultivation of cannabis and possession of equipment for manufacturing methamphetamine.
Tinny houses are turning over up to $10,000 a week here, he reckons. Cannabis is the mob's bread and butter, and Claude Kahika's upfront about that.
Marijuana is just one of those drugs that it's past the point of getting excited about.
But it's still lucrative.
There's still a trade in it.
That was then, 8 months ago. But what about now? What's happened about kicking P? Well, we haven't been able to contact Claude. He's not returning our calls. Last we heard, the mob's national executive didn't want the publicity. But the police, they've got plenty to say.
May have had good intentions, but it certainly had, we've seen no effect from what he had to say. I think to a certain extent he was putting up a smokescreen to shift police attention away from the mob.
Just an exercise in PR, Sergeant Shadbolt says.
He had no evidence that they've changed their ways or changed their behaviour or implemented any kind of process to move their gang members or associates away from methamphetamine use.
The way Claude Kahika told it to us, the intention is still to kick P. He's got a wife, children, most of the older mobsters do now. And you can't, he says, have both.
We got to instigate the change. It's got to come within, it can't come without. You can't be on the outside dictating. You have to be on the inside.
That's a big task.
It's a big task, but you've got to make a stand. And if you don't make a stand, well then you're not only bullshitting yourself, you're bullshitting all those who are coming with you.